So we've come outside in the glorious sunshine, grabbed a couple of chairs, we've got a brew apiece, and I've got a set of questions for Jules.
All right.
So sorry to put you on the spot, but no, I'm not sorry. Here we go. Question 1. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in your years of carp fishing?
Always pull your hood up when you're doing going for a number 2. No. Biggest lesson, I would say having an open mind. Never, when I watch somebody who might be new on a water catch a carp, when I was a younger angler, I used to say, oh, he was blooming lucky because I'm in the right swim. So the biggest lesson I've learned is to observe what everybody else is doing and never put it down to luck, even though it might be luck, because there's something about that may help me with my fishing. So if he chucks an 18mm pop-up out in the middle of the winter that you just know is not going to work and he gets a bite on it, there are 2 things: he's in the right spot and that carp wanted to pick that bright orange bait up. Now, do I need to, if I can't get into a swim, I might be able to try an orange pop-up in my swim. So I always have an open mind and let other anglers, so it's like 50 anglers are fishing for me because I watch what they're doing and observe and never put it down to luck. An open mind.
Brilliant. And number 2, if I can see, what's one mistake you see a lot of anglers making and how can they fix it?
Preparation. Even when I don't do tuitions as such, but for charity events or when I'm taking friends or people who, you know, done me a favour or something, I'll tell them exactly where we're fishing, what we're doing, and they'll turn up and they'll not be prepped. So they'll have like 12 rigs, but none are the ones that they would be using here. They won't have the correct lens. They haven't checked the line. They've forgotten something. The one thing that you can do at home is preparation. When obviously I work full time, the thing I had, when I was on the bank, I was fishing. I wasn't tying up rigs. I wasn't doing anything like that. When I got there, I was fishing from day one. So working for 38 years at Carp told me to be prepared. So you don't want to be turning up and tying rigs on the thing. And people say, oh yeah, but you can't decide what rig you want to use until you get there. That's absolute rubbish. The majority of rigs that people are going to use on a water, they've got tied up. So you want to make sure you've got enough hook bait, you've got enough PVA foam, you've got your bags tied up, your line, you've got enough rods, you've got a spawn rod if you need it. Preparation can be done at home, but when you're on the water, you're fishing, not prepping.
Yeah, I'm certainly guilty of that, I'll be honest, at times. But question 3. Sun's in my eyes here. If you could only use one bait for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
It's quite difficult really, because if I was fishing a water that had no nuisance fish at all, it would be something like a maggot or a worm, because they are all empowering. However, most of us fish waters that do have nuisance fishes, and much that maggots and worms and even sweet corn, they're a great bait, but everything likes them. And if I'm being honest, if I had one bait I could use all the time, it would have to be a yellow pop-up, because they work all winter. They definitely work in the spring. Even in the summer, so many carp are caught on bright yellow pop-ups over dark fish meal baits. And I just think there must be something about pineapple. When I say yeah, I mean the pineapple one. There's something about pineapple pop-ups that carp love, because how many carp have ever ate a pineapple bait on the bottom that hasn't got a hook in it? Nobody makes They used to do. There used to be pineapple ready-made. Nobody does it now. Yet they still keep picking up these bright yellow pineapple embuteric or whatever pop-ups. So you could trim it down, you can make it into a wafter, you can make it into a bottom bait. Yeah, for me, if I'm being honest, that yellow pop-up would be the one bait I would like to be without, if we could turn it around that way.
I like that. I do like a yellow pop-up myself. Yeah. And an extension of that question, what's your go-to rig setup when you need a bite quickly with that yellow pop-up?
Well, it's got to be the multi-rig, hasn't it? Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously, if they're high in the water, you're going to have to fish as a zig. But if I'm on fish and they're on the bottom, then it's definitely a multi-rig. And the most important thing, I think, as well, the rig is only part of the big story. You've got to be on them. And one thing that people don't talk about, but that's so important when it comes to rigs, is they're not feeding all the time. So you can put yourself on fish, but if they're not feeding, you're not going to get that bite. It's like somebody walking into, you know, the shop at 8 o'clock in the morning and you saying, we're not doing coffee and biscuits, but we're doing Sunday dinners. And they'll go, I'm not really fussed about Sunday dinner. And that's the thing with carp. Just because you're on them don't mean they want to eat a kilo of scopehead squid. So that rig is just part of the components. But yeah, an ultra sharp, overshotted, bright yellow pop-up in the faces when they're there and feeding and without scaring them.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And number 5. Can you share a memorable or funny story from one of your recent fishing sessions?
One of my recent fishing...
Preferably broadcastable.
Preferably broadcastable.
But not...
yeah, I can do. Went fishing with a couple of my friends about a week ago. And we fish from pods, which I never fish from pods. For me, a pod is something you put your rods on rather than fish in. And I have to say, I'm not a drinker, and I'm not going to reveal my friends' names, but I watched them, between the two of them, drink 6 bottles of wine.
Ooh.
And got up in the morning and were as healthy as anybody, as far as I'm aware. And I just thought, you know, it was about, I don't drink, but if you're not on fish and they're not feeding, 6 bottles of wine or six cups of coffee don't make any difference. I was just amazed that they could have 6 bottles of wine. In fact, one of them got up before in the morning and was watching the water before me. Maybe I need to drink more.
Was he still drinking?
No, I think he was looking for coffee. But yeah, maybe I drink more. Maybe I need to be one of the lads.